Hey there everyone, this is the Shadow Ranger back with another video. I want to talk about new things and old things in wrestling. What I mean when I say this is wrestling, as we know, has been in a bit of a downturn over the past few years in the United States. And our main two companies in the United States, WWE and TNA, have been trying to find something that's going to boost wrestling up, something that's going to get ticket sales back up and viewership back up and pay-per-view buys back up. I'm looking at that while WWE has gone with the idea of just new, TNA has looked at the idea of old, and I want to look at the pros and cons of each, but I'm mainly focusing on the cons in this video. Now when I say WWE has gone with new, I'm referring to new stars, new gimmicks. For the past few years, they have just been throwing new things at us to see what sticks. New stars, gimmick pay-per-views, concepts, things of that nature. Now when it comes to the wrestlers, the major con that I see in this is that it's difficult to build any emotional investment in newer wrestlers. I also think that the WWE gives them too much too soon, and it limits what you can do with them in the future. They seem to just be using guys up too quickly. Look at Sheamus, for example. He bypassed all the other belts and won the WWE title in less than a year. That's the only belt he's ever held. They just immediately threw him in the main event. But everything he's done since then seems like a step down because he's been WWE champion twice. So, you know, he just did a feud with John Morrison, and so it just seems like a step down for him. In the past, before wrestlers won more titles, they built up emotional investment for us in them. They made us want to see them win the belt really quickly. Not quickly, just really strongly. They made us want to see them win the belt strongly. And they had memorable feuds with secondary titles before they won world titles. You know, for example, The Rock. Before The Rock ever won the WWF title, he had really great memorable feuds over the IC title. He had really great feuds with Triple H as part of the DX versus Nation feud. I mean, his IC title feud with Stone Cold was really great stuff. Now, Stone Cold also had great feuds with Bret Hart, Owen Hart, the Hart Foundation as a whole, The Rock, Nation of Domination. He had feuds with Shawn Michaels. You know, he did a lot of memorable stuff before he won the WWF title. Triple H, had feuds with The Rock over the IC title. You know, they did memorable stuff. You know, Triple H led DX and thing. You know, he did lots of memorable stuff before he won the world title. And the same can be said of guys of the past. You know, Macho Man, people like that. You know, they had really great memorable feuds with the mid-card titles, and while they were in the mid-card before they ever won the title, where we became very emotionally invested in them first. And then compare that to some young guys who have recently been given who recently won world titles. You know, what memorable feud or defining moment has Sheamus had? What memorable feud, really strong, memorable feud, or has The Miz had? Or, you know, Jack Swagger. All these guys are former world champions. Well, Miz is the new WWE champion, but they haven't had that. And they don't have that emotional investment. It seems to be the same reason why that as many new guys they throw at us, we still all seem to enjoy the stars of the past even more. And people feel it with the older guys more. There's just more fire in them, more passion with them that we just seem to see. I mean, look at the build up to Survivor Series and the Barrett versus Orton match. You know, in one segment, Roddy Piper with one promo built that matchup more than John Cena, Randy Orton, and Wade Barrett had done in a month. And and I worry that WWE is gonna burn through guys so quickly to where there's like nothing they can do with them. Like I said, Sheamus is already a 2-time WWE champion, and has he been on the main roster for 2 full years yet? I don't think he has. I think he debuted at ECW in 2009. I think he debuted on ECW just last year, and he's already a 2-time WWE champion. And he's had no defining moments, no really memorable feuds. I mean, can any of you see Sheamus going back to the U.S. title or being Intercontinental champion and still take him seriously at this point? The same with Miz or Jack Swagger. I just felt like they rushing it so soon, and I think it's partially a lot of fans are to blame, because the IWC, a lot of us ride about same guys and stuff. We complain about seeing Orton in the main events all the time, and Cena in the main events all the time, and Batista in the main events all the time. And because we complain about them so much, WWE has feel like has instead just trying to get new people in the main event. They've rushed these guys to the main event scene and put world titles on them before they're ready. And I feel like they're gonna run out of talent pretty soon. I mean, I just worry about that, and I wonder about that, like what's gonna happen in the future, because they throw in new guys and nothing's really sticking that very well. On the other side, we have TNA. And their method has been more of looking at what worked in the past and trying to make it work again. Now, in theory, this is very smart. In theory. I mean, in theory, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense that if you're failing to do something, you would look at people who have succeeded at it and try what they did. They're looking at what worked in the past, and they're trying to see if they can get it to work again. And the main downside to that is that they've gotten a reputation for just being copycats. They've gotten this reputation of never doing anything new. Now, I personally have some disagreements with that. I do think they try new things, but usually when they try new things, people sort of shit on it. But trying the things from the past and trying to see if they can make things that worked well work again has gotten them their reputation. And most of the time when they copy stuff from the past, they copy stuff that was really big in the past. People say they copy the NWO, or that they try to copy like the Horsemen with Fortune, but the Horsemen and NWO, those were 2 really big things in wrestling. I mean, they're not copying stupid stuff. They're not bringing out like a new Disco Inferno and stuff. They most of the time they seem to be copying things that work very well. And I think that they got their reputation. The people just see them as a company living in the past. And while something may have worked in the past and people loved it in the past, they may not want to see this. They may not usually don't want to see the same thing again. Now, I always feel that if you're going to do something that has been done, you have to do it better than anyone else has ever done it, or significantly different than anyone else has ever done it for it to be successful. And 2 examples from TNA that stick out where they did this and it worked is the X Division and the Knockouts. The X Division is an example of something that's been done that TNA copied, but they just did it better than anyone else. I mean, because X Division, I know that they like to say it's not about weight limits, but really it is. I mean, it's cruiserweight or juniors wrestling. In cruiserweight wrestling, juniors wrestling, light heavyweights, lightweight wrestlers, that's not anything new. It's been done. It's been done in the US before, it's been done in Mexico before, it's been done in Japan before. It's not anything new. But when it comes to the US market, you may debate with like Mexico or Japan or something, but when it comes to US wrestling, no one has done cruiserweight or juniors wrestling better than TNA. The X Division is the best cruiserweight type wrestling that's ever been shown in America. They did it better. They took something that's been done, something that's been done plenty of times, but they did it better than anyone else in the US has ever done it. They took juniors wrestling in the US and they evolved it. They improved upon it. They took it to different levels. They made it a showcase of their show. They invented new types of matches just for their juniors wrestlers. Ultimate X, X Division Escape, things of that nature. They did it better and significantly different than anyone else has ever done it, and people loved it. The same can be said for the Knockouts. TNA presented women's wrestling in a way that mainstream wrestling had not done for probably like a decade, and people loved it. The Knockouts when it started was all about difference. They had women of different shapes, different sizes, different colors, different personalities. They acted different, they talked different. Each woman had a persona all her own. When the Knockouts started, no two Knockouts looked or acted alike except for Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. And that was okay because they were a team. They were the only two women who were alike, but they were a team. And when they got away from that, that's when the Knockouts division began to decline. The more they've moved toward, they've become more diva-like, and the more they have become to be more based on looks than wrestling, the more the division and the appeal in the division has declined. And let's talk about revamping the Knockouts division and bringing in different women to try to get back that feeling that they used to have, that new, different look. And I'm hoping that it works. So, I'm not totally sure where it is I'm going with this. It seems like TNA isn't growing significantly, and WWE seems to be shrinking. Every report I read talks about how viewership isn't as good as it used to be, and tickets aren't selling as good as they used to, and pay-per-view buys aren't as good as they used to be. And it seems like WWE is trying new, and that doesn't seem to be working, while TNA is trying old, and that doesn't seem to be working. So, where do you think they need to go? If new isn't working for WWE and old isn't working for TNA, where do they go? Is there maybe a medium between old and new they should try? Maybe WWE should go old, and maybe TNA should go new. The old stuff seems to get more play for WWE. So I'm almost at my 15-minute mark. Give me your thoughts. I'd like to hear them. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at TJSMITH3. Tell other people about my videos. I need the views. So thank you and goodbye.